Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Hello, sister. Doing well. Cannot complain.
Well, doing well. I see you in you have a different scenery behind you. Yes,
I
yes.
do. I do. I've returned to the barn or the secret location.
She's returned to the secret location. Well, if you tuning in tonight, let us know where you are watching Hey Sister this evening. And we're so very excited to have one of the people who is just so dear to my heart with us tonight, Miss Tasha Robinson Banks. Hey Tasha, how you doing?
Hello, sisters.
Hey
I'm a
sister.
sister.
Yes, yes, yes. So, folks, if you're tuning in tonight, we want you to like, follow, share, subscribe. Wherever you're tuning in, check in the comments. We want you to join the conversation in the comments. Let us know where you are tuning in and you're watching from, and how did man, I don't know about y'all, but spring has sprung. That time change has done something to me. It's taken me all week to get it together, right? So tell me, how was y'all first official week of springtime?
Mm.
What's interesting to me is the time does not change in the state of Arizona, or in my portion of the state of Arizona, shall I say.
Mm.
Yet, you still feel the physical change. Like you can still feel that the days are getting longer or shorter, when we do fall. And it was hard. It was hard. I was coming off of that conference last week. I was already tired and it was harder. But then I got to the secret location and got up this morning at 5:45 to be ready for 6 a.m. to go work out with my dad. So I don't really have an excuse. That's my long way of saying I don't have an excuse.
Uh,
But you do physically still feel it, even though the time doesn't change.
Right. Well, I do believe in the equinox, right? The winter solstice. We had the spring equinox. We have the fall equinox, the autumnal equinox. So there is something about when the seasons change and that push, because we are beings that come from this earth, right? So I
Right.
believe that there's something about that. I don't know. What about you, Miss Tasha? Because the time change, and that means that you there with those kids. How did it impact you?
Yes. I will tell you this. The time change for me, because I'm not a mom of young kids who has to get people up for school and that kind of stuff. My husband does like the morning shift of taking our high schooler to school. That never bothers me.
Mhm.
What did bother me is the time change and we were still open for a full week of spring break.
Mhm.
Yes. So instead of us, like, in boys and girls clubs world, the time changing doesn't matter because we don't open till 3.
Right.
But in the other world of school is out, it's spring break, having to get to the club, open up the club, might have been a little challenging for the staff because I didn't partake in that piece.
Well, look, we have one of our faithful watchers, Miss Jody. She said it caught up with me today. She said, "Baby, that 4 hour nap snuck up on me, honey." Sometimes that's what you have to do. You just have to lay it down.
Yes, definitely.
Well, look, as in typical, I kind of threw a curveball at the ladies today, but in typical Hey Sister fashion, we start off every episode with hot topics, and tonight is not going to be any different. So, let's buckle up, buttercups, because in the pre-show, that's why I was almost late hitting the button to get us going, because we was having some good conversation. So we're going
Yes.
to talk about, and so I have these two hashtags, and I want to be clear. This is not a versus. This is not an either or. But I saw this post because we all know that since the inauguration of the former White House resident, that actually groups who have claim on being white nationalists, white supremacists. Their activities have been on the rise. We know in the year of 2020, with the year of the pandemic, and some of his rhetoric about the origins or where the COVID-19 virus was first found, the rhetoric around people, being the China flu or Kung flu and all this ridiculousness that has still persisted. We have seen significant sharp increase of crime and violence against people of Asian descent. And I want to say shout out, we need to Google and find the 70 whatever year old Asian grandma who was like, "Oh, you hit me, but now I'm about to bust you up," and busted him right back up. And I know we're not supposed to, in those situations it could go bad, but I was just so happy to see that she fought
defended
back.
herself.
Yes, really defended herself. But I saw this post. It had they crossed out the stop Asian hate, was like, no, we need to stop the white terrorism, because at the end of the day, what it boils back down to is this terrorism by young white men. And so, ladies, what? And if y'all in the comments, we definitely need y'all to join us in the comments here. One of my friends posted, she's like, this not my fight, but I stand in solidarity. I stand in solidarity against all forms of violence, against all people. But what is your take on this increased violence we're seeing amongst the Asian community? I don't know which one of y'all want to go first.
I thought it was interesting that I was listening to, I can't remember what it was, but they were basically making the point that in terms of in this country, the largest mass lynching that occurred amongst Asian people, in California during I guess when, the Chinese, I think it was in Chinatown when the Chinese were there building the railroads and all that stuff, right? And there was genuinely a part of me that felt like we don't, like, trying to make these comparisons is a problem, right? So I think, to your point, we very much need to stop white terrorism. And white terrorism has been happening on this soil since the day white folks arrived. This entire country was built on the premise of terrorizing people who didn't look like the folks who came here, taking things from them that didn't belong to these white folks, and doing it, sadly, by any means. Like, that meant killing, maiming, passing on, spreading diseases or what have you. So we absolutely need to stop white terrorism. I do feel like, though, this is, when I think of Dr. King's, of course, his quote of, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We all have to stand up for each other. So it's not about, as you said, the oppression Olympics. It's really about the fact that we live in a country, again, that was based on white terrorism. And I'm not going to continue to use the word white supremacy either, because my friend Kim posted something the other day, and I said, yeah, it's white fear and white inferiority, insecurity that is disguised as this false sense of supremacy, but there's nothing supreme about it. And I just think that we all have to understand that we've always been better together. It's not the oppression Olympics, but you gotta jump on my side. I gotta jump on your side. It can't be just because, let's face it, and I always go back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was something that it helped everybody. So it wasn't about just Black people. Yes, those were the people who took the brunt of the abuse did the fighting on the front lines, but everybody came up off of that, including white women. So that's
Yeah.
my
Miss Tasha, I know you got some things to say about that.
Well, I mean, I definitely want to say, at this time, it's really stop the terrorism, stop the homegrown terrorism. We're looking for bombs, in the sky, coming from other countries when we've done, all of that kind of stuff in our own country to, Americans. So I'm at this point of stop the terrorism, period. Um, so I told you I got a couple of things I'm fighting because we as African Americans, we pick up the we got to help everybody kind of thing, and I don't believe everybody picks that up for us. And I would love for um others to pick up the fight for African Americans. And I want to be clear. In all of the situations that happen, there are pockets of people that support and hate terrorism, hate crime, hate abuse, violence. So there's not all whites are wrong. All of anything is ever. But I really would love for the Asian community to show the support of African Americans. And I really believe, as I said before, it's kind of like, nah, I don't want to be at the bottom with them. That's what I look at it as is, I'll I sometimes get this feeling of we just don't belong anywhere. You get what I'm saying? Like we just really can't go anywhere. And even when you go and you're in a space where someone is that have immigrated here, like they're treating you like you the bottom of the barrel too. So in that field, it's like I don't want Asians to be hurt. I don't want people to be hurt though, more than I don't want Asians to be. I really just want the crimes to stop. I want people to be held accountable. And I know we talked about this as they were saying the gentleman that did some crimes against the Asians, he just had a bad day. I would love for people to just stop having a bad day that are Caucasian. Just stop having bad days.
Well, here's the thing. As we talked in the pre-show, so you guys weren't privy to this, so I'll say it out loud because was the part that we talked about in the pre-show. We all have bad days. But what goes on in your brain? He bought the gun the same day.
Yeah.
And like they said, in Georgia, he was able to buy a gun on the same day. He killed 8 people, but you can't. But y'all just changed the law. You can't register to vote on the same day.
No.
Y'all trying to take away days, early voting days. But you could go buy a gun on the same day and then go shoot 8 people.
And I think you can do that.
I don't understand the flexibility. And listen, I don't know the timeline, but I don't understand what was the flexibility such that you bought a gun on that day, you killed people here, then you went across the street, then you went down the road a bit.
And you was on your way to Florida.
And you were on your way to Florida. But
you were apprehended without incident. He wasn't shot, he wasn't beat, he wasn't
nobody put their knee on his neck. I don't understand how we even have the flexibility to have
I do. I always say this, and when I'm talking with my husband about mass crimes that happen that are perpetrated by Caucasians, it's just you didn't kill the right white person. See, when you could go get a gun in 20 minutes and then you go murder the right white people, then we'll get some change happening. But it's not affecting the people that are doing the shooting, so it's not a big deal.
But even with that, Miss Tasha, I don't know, because I thought, I'll tell you when I gave up. I gave up hope. I gave up hope after Sandy Hook. Because I said, if you can kill these white babies in Connecticut, there ain't no hope for nowhere else. So I'm not sure that it even it's even from killing the right, for lack of better words, white person. I think that it's because in this country, for whatever reason, despite the history of white terrorism, white violence, white control, we have decided that the boogeyman is black. And I just don't understand that. And January 6th didn't teach us anything, because you got Ron Johnson saying, I wasn't scared. I wasn't even scared for my life. Now, had there been some Black Lives Matter folks or Antifa, I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it had to been them, then I would have been scared. So y'all look like y'all was scared the way y'all was running out of there, but you weren't scared because they are patriots. And that's the sad part of it for me.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter how many times in history this has happened, how much data you have been able to collect, the boogeyman is still black.
And the boogeyman is black, even when the boogeyman ain't, when we're not there.
Yes.
Even when you're not there, it's you know, that's the I'm just really over. I think probably for me, I'm over the misinformation about how much terrorism has occurred in the United States. And I know that we talk about our basics with the Rosewood and some other, you know, smaller pockets of things. But I've had, you know, the opportunity to get a chance to read some pretty interesting articles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there wasn't just Wall Street bomb. There's this place bomb. There's, you know, like it's a whole bunch of stuff that has happened here. And, you know, I know that the conversations can be difficult because when you realize the boogeyman is really you, you don't really want to talk. You don't see, we want to pray and have peace. We don't want to talk about the past traumas. And if you bring that piece up, then you realize the boogeyman is not us. You know, that it's just not us. And we have the data to prove that.
Yeah.
But nobody really wants to have that conversation because then you just look real bad.
Right.
So now what do you do with those feelings? When for us, it's like acknowledge, you know, you want us to get over, you want us to get past it. Y'all still talking about slavery. Y'all still talking about, you know, this and that, but they're all, you know, all of these examples. I know that you mentioned something about the mass,
Sandy Hook.
The other thing she was mentioning about the mass killings of Asians. We still getting hung and drugged.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you have those pockets of that little stuff happening, and we're terrorized every day. That's the sad thing. We don't have the just, hey, somebody shot up 6 blacks the other day. It's happening every day. You're just not hearing about it. And if there's not a camera to capture it, if there's someone not brave enough to risk their life to share it, it's still happening. And so that's just, you know, that's difficult.
Well, look, we have exhausted that hot topic. I don't know if we even got time to get into more hot topics, so we ain't gonna have time to talk about you, Miss Tasha, and that's what we want to talk about.
Well, we still have to say shout out to Deion Sanders, who is still over at Jackson State, not happy about losing. So when you was winning, you good, but you lost, and the folks at Alabama State clowned you.
What happened in that piece? I'm sorry.
We gonna show y'all I'll show you the picture. So basically, Alabama State beat Jackson State this past weekend, and At the end of the game, they posted a old throwback photo of Dion on the scoreboard when they beat him. You know, the good old curl days when he had that
Oh,
good old
please.
the curl and that big old cell phone days.
No.
And he said that that was childish,
Mm.
and we were like, you clearly haven't been to a SWAC game. You
Right.
are welcome to the HBCU bowls, baby, because
Right.
it's
Welcome
about
to
to
the
get
swag.
worse
This is
Yeah.
when
what we
y'all go to
do.
Southern. Okay.
This is what we do. I mean, this is what we do.
Is
So
it multiplied by the fact that it can be replayed over and over and over now, with memes and all of that good stuff?
maybe,
Maybe
but my feelings is this: you prime time, right?
you
Oh
the
yeah.
you the
You
smack
always
talker of the
about
smack talker.
a smack talker. The smack talker always is about a spectacle. Now you just the butt of the spectacle. Enjoy,
Mm.
come on through, and get
And
back on
it's
to
just
the.
1 week. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
right.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop
welcome to
it.
the
You
swag.
Stop
do know
it.
that
Stop
other
it.
people are getting their photos ready.
Yes.
It
Right,
can't
because they
stop with
know
that.
how bad you reacted to this. So
Yeah. Now somebody got to go find older footage than that.
right.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm
Man.
not even a big sports person, but I feel for your brother because when you're on the big screen, that's a shame.
Well, look, so then let's talk about you. You've told us a couple times you're not a big sports person, but we are so happy to have Tasha Robinson Banks. She is the senior service director for the Hugh
Levy-Hughes.
Levy-Hughes. I was saying Hughes Levy. I got the shirt on and still saying it wrong. See?
No, you're actually saying it right because
Okay.
as the money changes, so does names. So we actually are Hughes Levy
Okay.
in 2021. So you were
Okay.
correct.
Well, the Hughes Levy branch, which is located right in the heart of Orlando, in the historic Paramore area of Orlando, and Tasha, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. Our theme this month for Women's History Month is, her story.
Mm.
Everyday women making a difference. So we want you to tell us your story.
Well, first, I definitely want to say thank you so much for having me. I am definitely a fan. I indoctrinated myself into your family when you first started the leadership conferences, and I got to sit with your sister and mom
Uh huh.
at the one table. You have to have security blankets in places where you go, and you may not know everybody. So I'm really feeling at home, and just want to tell you this is absolutely an amazing opportunity to be a part of. I know you're talking about my story, but your story, sister's story, like seeing Hey Sister come alive after great conversations. This is an honor to be a part of. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yes.
A little about myself here. I've had the pleasure of managing boys and girls clubs in the Paramore Heritage area. This is actually my 23rd year with Boys and Girls Clubs, and I've been doing this for 22 years.
Mhm.
Excited to, like when you become a director of a Boys and Girls Club, you like literally don't think these people's children gonna grow up. But like I'm seeing kids who have whole families, husbands and stuff. And I'm like, you literally were 9 when I met you. And now you got like a whole family, but doing something for this long, you definitely get blessed to see children's growth into young adults and to, parents, all of that kind of stuff. So um, my I will tell you this. My story is one of being raised by a single mother who really, really, she was a Christian woman, and she really believed that there was a certain way to raise a child. Also, there was a certain way, or a certain people that definitely should be in that child's life. And so I am blessed to literally have a big community of people who have always just supported me being this chocolate brown girl in this world. And I don't feel like growing up with a, with a single mom, like I really missed out on anything. I've got an amazing family, amazing biological aunts and uncles who have, just taken the time to care for me and love me and my children and my husband as well. But when, you can look around, um, all points of your life and you're just blessed with wisdom from like the village. Like I had a village, like I still got a village. I know we talk about the village changing. Like I have a village, and it's because my mom taught me to not be a respecter of persons, but to understand um that it's better to be a servant than just titles and all. Like I'm not impressed by that kind of stuff. And I know it sounds a little bit different because people say, oh, you're a senior service director, but really I'm just another employee here at the club that wants to make sure my story is translated in a way that kids understand it is literally possible to live a fulfilled life, and to be happy, and surround yourself by some amazing people who inspire you and empower you, and that life really does not have to be that difficult. And I don't want to say not difficult because we all go through trials and tribulations, but things just feel so much different when you have people before you who could be honest about who they are, what they've gone through, so that you don't have to. So, really my story is, I'll say I'm Seventh-day Adventist, and, are quite conservative. I think we started clapping in my church maybe about 15 years ago. And, our church was, doctors, lawyers, educators, that kind of thing. Kind of, of my church, they would have said is kind of the bougie church. That, but my mom was not that. She was, at the time, she was a only single woman, on a divorced woman in my church. And I saw my mom work so hard to be the example of what a true servant is. And that really is like the how you build, in New Orleans, they got the Holy Trinity. Is that what they call it? Yeah. And that's the building blocks right there. And then when you get that roux going, well, guess what? That's what she did for me, is gave me just a really great foundation to build on, so that I never forget exactly who I am, but I can always be in a position to inspire and empower others. I will tell you, one time we were driving to our church and we passed some prostitutes on Orange Blossom Trail. And by the way, I'm a native Floridian, although I went to college in Alabama and spent all my summers and Christmases in New York. I am a native Orlandian. I guess that's a and we were
a rarity.
Yes. And excuse me, we were driving and I saw a prostitute and I said, I'll never be like that. And my mom said, you have to change that till you pray to God, you'll never be like that. And when she broke it down to me a little bit more, saying, you don't know if that mom had to buy diapers for her children. You don't know if somebody is on some medication that they need. She said, women are not just out here just doing anything just because they just want to do anything. Oftentimes there are these things behind it, And so I said to myself, man, I want to be in that position to not be a chick that's always judging people, but saying, how can I inspire? How can I help? How can I help kids to not feel like they have to be in that bad situation, even when they come from one? So that's kind of, that's Miss Tasha in a nutshell, I guess. Huh?
Well, that's a lot, Miss Tasha. I don't know what you talking about, sister. I'm gonna toss it to you to ask a question.
I just want to know, Miss Tasha, how did you come to be a part of Boys and Girls Club, especially for 23 years? How did that happen?
I was fortunate enough after leaving college to come back to Orlando. I know that we all, so I was raised with this independence, But I miss my mama. Like I love my mama.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, as long as my mom is here, I can always go back and have a career here. And I actually was raised fortunately. And I'm not saying this is unfortunate that I'm here, but I never had to go to any after school program. I never was a part of anything. Like my mom took me to school, my mom picked me up, that kind of thing. And so, um, I had never heard about boys and girls clubs at all. And there was a young lady at our church. She said, "Hey, they're looking for a teen director at the Universal Club, which used to be our Southwest Club on Raleigh. You should apply." So I went in there, and I got an opportunity to be hired. And I actually spent a year at the Southwest Club as I first ran a suspension program with, with Carver Middle School, where instead of you getting suspended at school, you had the opportunity to become a Boys and Girls Club member and spend your suspension days at the club. And so I
I
got a
know some
chance
people
to,
might get suspended on purpose.
yeah, yeah. So I got a chance to do that. And then I became team director. And then I got a call to manage my own Boys and Girls Club a year later. So, that's the gamble Boys and Girls Club took on me. And I guess it's been working ever since.
Yeah. And so you've been doing it a long time. You've been doing it so when I first met you, the club was near the
It was at the coalition.
it was at the Coalition for the
Mhm.
Homeless.
And we
Um
had a team club at the Jackson Community Center.
yes. And so you were doing both of those.
Yes.
And then they built this large, beautiful as you know, it has its pluses and minuses, right? Because
Yes.
there's also that gentrification of that community is
Oh,
had
yes.
taken place. Um,
The great washing that is occurring.
yes.
Yeah.
And so how do you continue to because I know your calling is greater than just you know serving the Boys and Girls Club, like the calling to really have an impact on the lives of these children. Tell us a little bit more about that and how you're able to continue to do it at such a high level. So maybe I need to preface this to say this, because
Mhm.
if y'all out here watching, y'all might not know what I'm getting at. Miss Tasha is bad is a bad woman. She will come up with an idea and she'll make it happen. So y'all see I'm wearing my shirt from the drive-through college fair. I had to
Yes.
represent. Uh, so of course last year COVID is like, listen, these kids are not getting the same thing. I want to
Mhm.
have a drive-through college fair. And when Miss
Yes.
Tasha calls a few people together, a whole bunch of people come
Yes.
together and just do these magnificent things. The partnership, when I was like, well then, can we AKAs come do this at your club?
Oh,
And
yes.
honey, from that, it has just been growing, 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 growing ever
Oh,
since.
yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, AKAs, y'all come anytime, y'all can do whatever y'all want.
I even listen to me at the Divine Nine. They, I have to fight sometimes because they think it's just a AKA club. And I have to let them know y'all are welcome. Don't be tricked. And they tell me, they say, "Well, sis, your office is pink and green." What you trying to tell us? And I said, "Well, I'm not an AKA. I don't plan on what do you call it? I don't know.
Seeking membership or pledging
Yeah,
or
no,
anything like
I
that.
got my membership. I'm already honorary. It doesn't even matter. Um, but the one thing about it is, and a lot of this is reflection on my childhood. I really had a great childhood. And I know that we talk about I talked about foundations. Like, I really had an amazing mom. And I'm not talking about, oh, you scared for us to know this about your mom or this and that. No, I'm very serious. Like, I had an amazing mom, and I think every kid just deserves that. I don't think kids have to work hard to have good families. That's not their job. And so for me, really on this end, every day excuse me, every day is literally about what are we doing so that kids can just live good lives? Like, you might have a mixed up mom over here, somebody on drugs over here, that kind of stuff. But what are we doing in like this 3 hour block that is so amazing that a kid can forget that they're going to the coalition?
Mm-hmm.
That that they're possibly still homeless in a car, that they're living in a area hotel. Like, what are you doing that's so amazing? And I found myself excuse me, rethinking some things with my team. Like, hey, COVID is ravishing us all. Like, it's taking us out. And I've never really I get in trouble sometimes because I don't take a lot of breaks from Boys and Girls Club. I'm in my office right now. Um, mm, like, I'm at so I'm in this place of saying, when they come to the Boys and Girls Club, what is the experience supposed to be like? It is literally supposed to be like no other. And I know you gave the example of the college fair, but I said to myself, how is it that no one has thought, what are we going to do for these kids? They're used to getting all the scholarship information, getting a chance to go to colleges. Like, why has no one thought, let us do something for the kids? And so I take that as a personal mission. It is literally always, what's the next step? Like, I want my kids to see that their Boys and Girls Club never took a break. That is how important they are. We're not in the business of breaks. I actually took my first break when I had a stroke about 2 years ago, and I had my stroke here at the Boys and Girls Club. Praise God, I had an amazing attorney here visiting me that day, Alexis Carter. I call him my earth angel now because he's actually the one that set me down, took my blood pressure, and was like, "Yeah, sis, it's time for you to go to the hospital." But even in that, I wasn't even thinking about myself. I was like, how is this day going to go? We had a big photo shoot here. We got, the young lady from Channel 9 News here. It's like this big day at my club, and I wasn't even taking a break. And I don't pride myself in saying I push it to the limit to where I'm willing to die for the kids. But I am proud at the fact that my kids at our club realize we're willing to do anything for them, anything so that they have the opportunity to be better. How can you leave a legacy if when you don't even know what a legacy is? How can you create one when you never experienced one? Or, how can you make choices when you're never given one, that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's what really drives it here. It's really, I'm always in a competition, and the competition is have them here living the best life, or let them go out there where the drugs and prostitution and abuse are. Have them go to, be around people who can't see the next day, have no hope. Like, that's the competition I'm in. And we've lost some kids. That's just the truth. Because you can't save everybody.
Right.
Probably one of the hardest moments for me is when my club was at the coalition and I had a young man, and I always say he was literally my smartest Boys and Girls Club member. He was like NASA smart. And when you get up in the clouds in the sky smart, where you're figuring out how to connect, and connect the world, like, that's the smart he was. And his mom said to him, you're going to have to stop going to school because somebody got to pay this cable bill. And literally, he's been downhill. And so we're in the fight and in the competition against that. In understanding the super, super smart people ain't watching cable. The super smart people are creating cable, have stock in cable. But because his mom was in the place to where she had already chosen her life, she couldn't see that what we could offer here could allow and set them up for a legacy of change, which would affect all of the family. She couldn't see that. And so she told him, yeah, you got to you got to quit school so we can pay this cable bill. And that was quite difficult for me. And that was one of the, like I was out on the boardwalk crying. And one of my other club members, Jessica, she, was standing by me and she said, Miss Tasha, she says, I know you want it all for us, but we got to want it for ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was a hard pill to swallow because I'm thinking if you just, have all the best and this and that, everybody will make it. And that ain't so.
Mm.
But I'm up against this fight of 10 might not make it, but 9 will. And maybe 10 don't make it now, but 10 total will make it when somebody, is able to mature enough to realize what the Boys and Girls Club offered was to give them a better life. And now they can take that information. So I'm really just, what's the drive is literally having kids live a great life.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that, whatever that means. And I'm not too proud to, ask 10 times over if someone has something that can benefit my kids. I'm not too proud to, admit, hey, we need help. Like, the village I mentioned for myself, that village is a different kind of village. And I'm closely to the residents that should be in the village, but all of the outside villagers who could, have some change. I'm praying to God that they just see this passionate, as I call it, passionate, purposeful, movement. Like I'm wanting people to jump on board to understand in society, if you don't pay um, with with volunteerism and support, you pay in another way.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna pay either way.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what you want to do in this world. Do you want to pay for the kid that you didn't come and support at a Boys and Girls Club or any after school program, and then have to end up paying for them having a whole bunch of kids and being on welfare and whatever it may be, or like you pay in some type of way? Why not do it in a way that's most beneficial for both?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've been running my mouth. I'm sorry, I can talk.
No, I'm trying to type that into the. I paraphrased it, but that pay me now, pay me later. Why not do it in volunteerism? Because I think that's very we talk about it when we talk about our alumni stuff all the time, talent, and treasure, because sometimes you might have more time than you have treasure, or you might have more talent than you have time. But
Right.
if you give whatever you have, it will come back to you. And if we all give that little bit of what we have, those gifts, because if you can see it, you can be it, right? And so it's just whatever it is. And
well, Mr. Dimitri, let me tell you something. That's what we tell kids. That's not what we show them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not oftentimes what we show them. See, you want to tell me how to be a kid and master it, and we got a whole bunch of grown people can't even master that.
Well,
so the challenge is really living what you're telling these kids to do. Living it. We have told kids you can make it, and this and all this about the COVID and stuff, and then you got a bunch of grown people who can't make it. It's like, how are kids going to do it if you're not even honest enough to say I can't make it?
Right.
Like we're expecting, whenever I get a chance to read articles and stuff, we're just like it's super hard on kids, and I'm saying to myself, how are we so hard on kids? And then you just give, I know that we talked about that, but the murderer the other day, he just had a bad day. Why can't kids just have a bad day? You get what I'm saying? They can't afford a bad day. They can't afford, look at what's happening as far as them having to do virtual world and all this kind of stuff. We are losing. And our kids are behind. And if we don't say, I got to give in whatever kind of way, they're not going to make it. Because what other examples do they have? And I'm talking about the little, the vast majority of my members are our brown kids. To me, the place should be flooded with brown adults who want to show them how to make it. Because if not, we are not going to have anything. You're going to be 60, 70, 80, me the same, with a whole bunch of kids who may say, these adults didn't take the time to care for me. Why am I going to care for them? So, you, like you say, you pay. We're going to pay in some type of way. And I really am trying to build an army who can take care of me. I'm trying to build this army that's going to feel bad in case Lee and Lauren say, no, we about to put her in a home. She is too much. I got kids advocating for me to be in Boca Raton or the Maldives in a
well, I already know the kids are doing that. I have witnessed it with my eyes. Some of your graduates who've gone on, they've like you said, they've graduated college, they've started their families, they're working their careers. You have them from every level. So I think if your two little princesses decide they don't want to act right, they gonna have an army of folks saying, "Oh no, not this one."
pray church. I coined that phrase. These people, children, these people children, because I can run a whole boys and girls club. And as a matter of fact, I've had it where I was short on staff. Not necessarily this club, but other clubs where you got to get on in there. You got 60, 70 kids and you got to wrangle them and you got to do it by yourself. And I can't control like two belong to me. And I'm just trying to figure that piece out. So y'all pray about that.
Yeah, it's something where they belong to you. I don't know. Yeah. Sister, what other question do you have? Because I know we had a couple more topics we wanted to talk about.
Okay, well, before I ask a question, I just wanted to say I liked how you said that you're going to pay for it either now in volunteerism, and I would say in philanthropy as well, or you're going to pay for it later. And it talks to one of the things we didn't get to in Hot Topics is, those stimulus checks killing, that is evidence of somebody failed along the way. When you think that it's worth killing 4 or 5 people over a $700 stimulus. And then, mentioning about having, you have a bunch of brown kids in your club, so you should have a bunch of brown adults volunteering. And that it just reminded me, I remember after Hurricane Katrina and here in Louisiana, going to volunteer and even feeling some kind of way that it wasn't more of us volunteering because us were the people in need, and so that was a tough thing for me. But anyway, I wanted to ask you, so you mentioned meeting us at Demetria's conference, Spring into Leadership. Shout out, coming up soon.
Get your tickets. SpringIntoLeadership.com. I will create something so y'all know where to go. Go ahead.
But we met you there, and what I noticed immediately about your personality is that you never seem to meet a stranger. Where do you think that comes from?
That was okay. Back to Loretta Yvonne Dawson.
Amen.
I don't know if God gave her the instructions to wake up crack of dawn for church and open the doors. Like, I don't know who told her to do that. But I was a little girl who was at the church door with my mom greeting and saying happy Sabbath, since I was little. I've always felt like I don't want to miss anything. And I don't, it's not that I don't want to miss anything like, oh, you nosy, you just want to be all in the bit. No, like every moment, even when we're teaching the kids, is like when you get the pleasure and the honor of meeting someone with purpose. I don't care what their purpose is. Like, you should be soaking up everything they got to say that can propel you into the next level. And so for me, I don't see myself as inferior to anything. So why not be a stranger? Like why not be that chick that walks in, and I'm not trying to look you up and down, trying to figure out about your outfit. I'm trying to figure out what you can do for my Boys and Girls Club. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get to know you, because when I get a chance to know you, and then you're exposed to the opportunity of meeting several hundred kids and changing their lives. Like that thing is deep. I've always thought of my position as one day I'm going to have to, I believe in God. And I do believe one day there will be a judgment. And I believe I will have to stand. And I don't have the luxury of just answering for two children that are biologically mine. I have to answer for every kid that has walked through my doors. And I've exposed them to staff, counselors, whomever, but also to people who could have changed their life. Like I don't have the luxury to shut my mouth, because when I shut my mouth, somebody else can't get a laptop for college. When I shut my mouth, there's no college fair that happens. When I shut my mouth, there's no mental health counselor that's going to come and volunteer. Like I don't get that luxury, and I don't take it as a burden. I take it as a mission. Like when I go in this room, I'm needing to make sure that I have maximized it so that my kids can get everything that they need. So no, I don't walk in as a stranger. I will tell you, there was one time I walked in, and I don't know why I felt like this. Like I've gone to private school all my life, went to a private college, so that's affluence and all that kind of stuff wrapped up. I grew up in College Park, that's affluent. Like I went to a golf event and I felt out of myself. And I didn't like that. That was the first time ever. And I still try to sit and figure out, why did I feel like that? Why did I feel inferior at that moment? Why did I feel like I wasn't like the normal Tasha? And it just could have been an off day. I don't have a clue. But because those days are so far and few in between, that's why I don't get the opportunity. Like you say, I can't be a stranger. And, when I go into a place, the goal is for you to know who Tasha Robinson Banks is. And not because I have some personal, like I'm about to shine but it's like how my kids can shine, like being able to call people together and them trusting my word and trusting the purpose and trusting the mission and the goal and being a part of something like to change kids' lives. I gotta be an advocate. I really don't have another option. I've been breaking. I do want to tell you, I've been breaking every Boys and Girls Club rule. we can't have people inside the building yet, but believe me, my brain has been racked. Like last year, we had our women's talks. I call them our Women's History Month conversations. Every day we have African American women, any woman that wants to come and empower and inspire a kid or a young girl at the club. We had that all set up, had like 4 million speakers, and then COVID hit. So I was like, COVID, you won't get me this year, boo. We only got a weekend last year, but you will not get this one. And so every day we've been meeting outside, and having some amazing women come and speak. And this year, our theme wasn't, I could care less about how many companies you built and opened up and all that kind of stuff. Tell me how you made it from being a teenage girl. Tell me, did you ever withstand being abused? Tell me how you made it over the hump when you wanted to kill yourself. Like, that's what my girls need to hear. Right. They'll get the piece about the companies and I went to this college. Like, they will get that. And that is quite important. But more importantly is, how do I make it from today? Ms. Demetri, you coming and talking to us. I'm going home to abuse.
Yeah.
Like, how am I? Okay, I hear you say I could be anything. I want to be anything but home. How am I going to do that? And so like this thing is real deep when you look at it. And anytime that anybody's ever invited, and I will tell you, I don't invite everybody. Now, while I have the goal of getting to know everybody, I don't invite everybody because, like I said, I have a responsibility to God. And so everybody can't walk through these doors. When you walk through these doors, I look at it, even as a kid, this is a privilege. This ain't a right. This is an extreme privilege to come to a place where you can connect with some amazing people and it's going to be all right. Like, they got me, and I can always call and, get encouraged or inspired. I got some people that hold me accountable. I got some people who are not a whole bunch of yes people, but hey, get it together, young man. And I don't have a problem with saying that.
No, you do not.
No,
And I have been a witness to how deep we go. I've been
yeah,
to some of those programs where we go real deep. And so
yeah.
I know this is something that you want to talk about, mental health support and the
Oh yeah,
importance of mental health support, especially for our young people. Um,
yeah.
our children have 2020 it did a number on everybody's from a mental
Everybody.
health perspective, in
Mhm.
terms of just emotional uh it's emotional roller coaster. So
Mhm.
the kids, talk a little bit about how do you get the mental health resources needed in order to sustain. 'Cause you've been doing this for 23 years, which I don't know what
Average.
the average life expectancy of a senior service director, but I know it ain't
Ooh.
22 years.
No, it ain't 22 years, but
But
you know,
I
I'll
know
tell
you
you,
have faith, so I know
oh
that's a
yeah,
whole nother thing.
this is, this piece right here is even, it goes a little bit, further because of my personal experience. Um, my 17-year-old, she's 17 now, was not like, she's not an emotional kid. She's touchy feely with mom and dad kind of thing, but she's not like a cry or anything. And we literally spent a great amount of time getting her back in the place of feeling like life wasn't doomed. And it
Mhm.
was extremely hard for her. And it was extremely hard for her with the crying every day, kind of thing. And that was just not normal. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, like, imagine what other kids are going through at home with a parent that's like, COVID ain't your business, or we don't care about COVID around here, or the abuse never stopped. All like it, my thing was, how are they going to make it? How are we not raising a whole bunch of broken kids? Like, I've got to make sure that everybody that has an opportunity to get into the club or connect with the club can speak with a kid, can get with a kid. We do, Boys and Girls Clubs has something called post checks, where we check in. How was your day? They do it on a little survey, like, so we can gauge how our club kids are doing. Boys and Girls Clubs has a national youth outcome survey where we check on how our kids are feeling with safety and all of these other things,
Mhm.
because it's very easy, as right now we have another Boys and Girls Club that was built, but equally we're a 30,000 square foot building, the largest Boys and Girls Clubs in Central Florida. If I'm not connecting with them in some other type of way, what I mean, kids can be lost, can be overlooked. I mean, you can just be shuttling them on through, and you're talking about homework and stuff, and I'm really thinking about killing myself. Like,
Mhm.
I don't care about homework. I'm trying to make it. And so all of the people that I connect with, I am never embarrassed or ashamed by saying, hey, we need some mental health support. We need, do you know a therapist? Do you know whatever it may be? I'm not embarrassed to have a conversation with a mom and say, your child is suffering. And I know we like to talk nice, but my reports from Boys and Girls Clubs when I'm having a talk with a parent is not always, hey, Johnny did so great today, but it's like, Johnny's acting out in a way that this could lead to a future of being imprisoned.
Hmm.
And, like, you got to have those real conversations. And you also have to have the real conversation that says, I'm going to do the work. So, a lot of people ask you, you know, when people walk past you, hey, how was your day, Demetria? And you can say fine and be broken up. You
Mhm.
just skating through the day. So our conversations with the kids are not just how was your day and just fine, but reaching a little bit deeper, because anybody can say fine.
Mhm.
The other day, Marquette and I had to get in the car, and we only had to drive a couple of blocks because one of our club members said she was going to kill herself, and she
Hmm.
actually was choking herself on the phone. We didn't get the chance to hear it, But that is what the day is. Sometimes it is, hey, this is the emergency for the day. I don't care about no homework. I'm trying to save somebody from killing themselves. And when we sat in the car with her, her face was so red and she's crying. And what she was going to kill herself about in our world amounted to a hill of beans.
Mm.
But that would have been another young, precious life gone because no one took the time to go deeper instead of saying, you being silly. Stop doing that mess. You being silly. But sitting and saying, there's nothing else more important than you right now. And even with you wanting to harm yourself, understand this. If you were to do it and you could look back at the day, like if your ghost could come back and your ghost could see, you actually could have made it to the next day. You wouldn't want to do that. Like, you want to give yourself the opportunity to fight through this. Like, you're a fighter. I don't know. Is it a bad thing to be, and I get it mixed up sometimes. You don't want to just be surviving. You want to be thriving, right? I don't just want a bunch of zombies around the club. I want life. I want kids to, know, like, this is the place where I can come and be myself. And I can tell them I'm broken down and I'm about to kill myself. And they're going to drop everything to make sure I'm good. And not as a ploy to, manipulate, but as like, I could be real with these people. They know the real me. And I've had conversations with moms and dads, and I've said, hey, I'm breaking code because I'm telling you something your kid told me. But for me, how unfair is that for me to have the fortunate opportunity to mold some minds here and not include parents in on the process? Because sometimes the acknowledgement of this needs to be that a parent needs help as well.
Yeah.
And some we good masqueraders. That we'll put on this.
Put on that facade. Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
yeah, and I've had a kid cut the monkey in the club, and somebody called me, and I'm, hi, this is Tasha Robinson Banks, Boys and Girls Clubs. How may I help you? And in my head, I'm like, let me get hold of Johnny. But I mean, of course, we good at doing this, that kind of thing. I don't want kids to live like that.
Right.
I get an opportunity to live myself and be free with who I am. And sometimes that's brash. Sometimes that's, ooh, Lord, I don't know what's going to come out of Miss Tasha's mouth. Sometimes that's, whatever it is. But I get the opportunity to live free. And that's what I want for kids, to live free and express themselves. I need help. I need love. I need a hug. One of my kids was like, I just miss being touched. And that right there just broke me on down. I broke all kind of protocol, hugging them up. But like, if you're going to lose your job, like, that's the way to lose it. I figure that if I'm going out, I've always been this director. I'm never scared to touch. Kids need to understand what appropriate touch is. They need to understand what appropriate love is from others that may not necessarily be your family. And so I've always kind of bucked the system, because at the coalition, I don't know if that's the last hug you're going to get, because I don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. So I'm just wanting kids to live the best life they can. And I'm wanting to make sure they have it. And as Malcolm said, by any means necessary, guess what? That's by any means necessary.
That's fantastic. Oh my, the time has flown by. So we have hit our hour. I don't know if you had time for one more topic, because we've been asking all the women who've come on with us this month. Christina wanted to have this conversation around meritocracy. So, sister, I want to throw that to you to ask this question, and then we will get ready to close out.
Okay. Sure thing. Well, Miss Tasha, first of all, I want to say you mentioned about your attorney who helped you with your during your time of stroke, and you referred to him as your earth angel. You are definitely an earth angel. I just want you to know that. But the question that I've been asking has to do with, we often tell women, people of color, specifically Black people, even more particularly, that we have to work twice as hard to get half as much. And my question has been, is that a meritocracy mindset? When we talk about that twice as hard, are we talking about knowledge and skills and training as opposed to, say, networking and making connections? And as you pointed out, not being a stranger, because you have to make those sort of connections to help your kid. So that's kind of been the question that I've been posing about. Is that a meritocracy mindset, in that we believe that working twice as hard to get half as much is about actually having more degrees, more skills, more knowledge, more training, but not necessarily putting that same weight into, say, networking and making connections?
I definitely believe it is, just because of the value we put on, people with 50 degrees and all that kind of stuff. And for me, um, you I mean, I'm fighting with all these examples in my head. I'll be honest with you. My husband, my children, and I just left before I came here. We went to Ruth Chris to celebrate his birthday. We're wrapping it on up. The banks celebrate a bunch of stuff. So, like we went there, and I found myself almost not able to fully enjoy my time, because I was saying, hey, you guys, you're on your phones, this and that. Like looking around at what everybody else was doing, kind of thing. And then I observed a couple of African American families, and they were on their phone and that kind of stuff. And the meritocracy piece and that other piece made me do that. We just can't go and just enjoy and just be. We got to go and walk into a room and be on 10, and other people can be 4 and 3 and 2 and acknowledged. And so I don't I don't know if I feed into it. I don't know what part I play in. I don't think I've done a great job at not playing into it, because even my mom used to say, you got homework until you get a black president. She said, you got home. She said, you can stop doing your homework when we get a black president. She told me I'll be 50 in next month. And my mom told me that my whole life until she passed away. Until we get a black president, that's when you can stop doing homework. And she didn't even realize that she passed away. That's a whole set of fibs, because we still got homework. As a matter of fact, we got more homework now to do than we even had before. So I don't know. I believe it is. I don't know how necessarily to change it, because I think it's important to have all of those pieces. We can't be a people that can't have all the pieces. Am I saying that right? Like we can't, we can't be, I even say, like my husband and I were talking about black newscasters. I said, we can't go over there up on the screen with some whimsical hair and just put up in a little pony. We can't do that. We got to have hair laid and fly. We can't just take the kids. One time, this is years ago, I took the kids to a restaurant, and this couple said, this is the most well-behaved set of kids that I've ever seen. And then I was saying to myself, what part of me is falling into this trap to where I can't even let kids enjoy being kids? So we sitting in there, in the place, and it's, hey, keep it down, keep it up, sit down, put yourself together. Like we can't even get a break sometimes just to be normal, just to, whimsical hair for us ain't whimsical. It's nappy, it's unkempt, it's all of that kind of stuff.
Or it's a statement.
It's indeed a statement. But you can't afford to. What I'm hoping to change is kids being able to make that statement and make it at 10 instead of making it at 40 and 50. And it's only when we have these examples of, hey, you got to put your best foot forward, but you are allowed to just be a regular person. You don't have to be on 10. And like I said, I found myself falling into that trap tonight at the restaurant. Like, hey, y'all laughing too loud, that kind of, but we here celebrating like everybody else. And so, I want to do my piece in making sure our kids get educated, but I want to do my piece in making sure our kids know how to take hold of opportunities when they meet some sisters that want to say hey, that they understand how to have dialogue and how to, get the support they need and how to become, the person that can, change the world, all that good stuff. So I don't know if I answered you.
Well, one of the things I know what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to plan a Hey Sister takeover with some of your young women and have them take over Hey Sister and let them be the
Um,
interviewers and interview us. How about that? So we need to
how
put
about
that
you
in the
call it, hey girl?
Hey girl,
Hey
hey.
girl.
So we definitely need to plan something like that because I think that would be lots of fun to give them the opportunity to share their voice with the world
Mhm.
and engage in these type of conversations and dialogues. This has been
Yeah.
such a treat. So I want to thank you
Thank you.
for your openness, your candor, your transparency, your story, how you have really poured your heart, soul, spirit into the lives of other children. There's so many things that you said that that resonated. I know I heard Chrissy saying a lot as you were talking, but really that you know our children deserve the absolute best.
Yes.
All of our children deserve the
All of
absolute
them.
best that
Yeah.
we have to give and we have to offer. And
Yeah.
we should be showing up for that, whether or not we've given birth to them or not. We should be
Yeah.
showing up for that every single day.
Everything.
And
And you do that in your way.
yes.
That's what kids, I know we got to go, but you're teaching kids to learn in their way, right? So why can't adults show up in their way?
Mhm.
If your way is, sending some notebook paper and some pens so that kids have paper to write on, that's your way.
Hmm.
But at least we're teaching kids to be in it in their way. Show up in your way. That's all I want adults to do. I
Mhm.
don't want anybody to I don't want anyone to do what they are, like whenever people are coming to volunteer and they say, "What do you want me to do?" No, it's not about what I want you to do. You have to lay down with yourself at night. You
Hmm.
got to be fulfilled. What do you want to do? What is it that you missed out that you can impart on a kid? Like even in our women's talks, they've been saying, "What do you want us to talk to the kids about?" I said, "Share with them what you didn't get."
Hmm.
That's it. We walk around unfulfilled in some type of way, wishing someone had poured into us.
Right.
Give them what you didn't get, and then the day is done.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, with that, we are going to sign off. So, folks, thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. If you're catching this in the replay on Facebook or YouTube, I dropped in the comments how you can find the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Florida. You can click on locations and you can contact Miss Tasha if you are interested in supporting her branch of the Boys and Girls Club. They're doing amazing things. She's always thinking outside of the box. She does stuff in the box, out the box, and then she throws the box away and just creates her own thing over
There
there.
you
And
go.
if you are about that type of service and you have some time, talent, and treasure, the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida, the Hughes Levy branch, Levy Hughes branch, whatever you want to call it. It's in the Paramore Heritage area. It's right in the heart of Orlando. Miss Tasha, we thank you for serving, but all of us can
Thank
serve
you,
in some
ladies.
way. So
Thank
we
you,
want you
ladies.
all to hold the line and wave bye to everybody as we say good night.
Good night.